so exciting. I just want to say, when I first asked you, I was like, she's going to say no. I was like, why would she say yes?
Well, I'll tell you why I said yes. Because first of all, you always were very special to me anyway when I was teaching. But I think that I love your whole, it seems like from what I know, what I've read about you, is just that you are all about empowerment and women empowerment. And I feel like what better way to empower my former student than to come and be a part of what she's doing.
Oh my gosh, that's so kind. But yeah, the entire thing, the whole reason for this podcast was I just wanted someone that I wish I would have had when I was in high school. And I want to be that person.
Yeah.
And I don't do it for the people who like love high school. I do it for the people who are just like, would rather be anywhere else. And that's
just trying to get through.
Right. And that's a large majority of people.
Yeah.
And I was like, who better to ask than, I don't know. Can I call you your first name? I think I'm old enough.
You have to. Yes,
I left your card blank over there because I was like,
no.
What do I put on it?
Yes, it has to be Lauren now. Yes,
okay.
It's been enough time.
All right, Lauren. So it was just like, when I thought of who I wanted to ask, I wanted it to be you. And I think it was because I always saw you be so bright and you were so interactive with so many women. And I think that even from someone standing back and watching, there's so many opportunities for you to not want to engage with other women. And I think that as you just showing up in your teaching space, you had so many girlfriends and you were just so happy to be around them. And I think that that's not something that everyone deals with, right? Like for me, I'm like, ooh, okay. Like it's taken me until now to really step into like girl friends. Yeah. And you were always just so bright. So I want to talk about, because you are a real safe space for me. And I want to just talk about coming into high school now. There's so many more things like the internet. Okay. What do you do? Like, do people text?
Do people text? They actually, no, they don't text. They're on Snapchat or
No!
they're sending each other things, but it's not, they don't text each other anymore. It's all quick snaps and taking pictures of foreheads in class and sending it to each other and things like that. And you know what? You can really only limit it so much. I mean, our phones, they're ubiquitous, right? Like
right.
You can't limit that consumption. We can try to use it respectfully in the classroom. We can try to talk about the norms for the class and keeping things academic, but there are times where we use the phones as a tool in the classroom too. So they're there. But it is difficult to try to gain the attention of the people in front of you when they've got the world at their fingertips. It's really difficult. So
it is. Finding a safe space, I feel like it's just so, you're like, who do I talk to? Who do I look for? Who do I trust? And I just think that outside of friends, I think sometimes it's nice to have a safe adult.
Yeah. That
you can like go to their place. And I always found myself like going to someone's place.
Yes.
Like I wasn't probably where I was supposed to be because that just didn't intrigue me at all.
Right.
But I think just finding a safe space is so important. So you, for someone who lends yourself a safe space for a lot of people, what do you do like to make kids feel safe?
So I think that trying to be safe is one of the things you try to establish from day one. When people come into the classroom, at first it's just really little things, right? It's greeting people at the door, talking, like asking, what they like to be called, what their nickname is, what their pronouns are, all of those things, trying to make it as inclusive a classroom as you possibly can.
You really did wait at the door.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to because
wait, I have like this memory, and then you were pregnant and I would say, and a side of fries.
Yes.
And then like, it's like, you're at the door. Like, yeah. Wow.
Because I don't know what's happened up until the point where they enter my classroom. I don't know what's happened in someone's day. So the most important thing I can do to try to set the tone for a relationship, for a good class experience, for anything, is to be at the door with a smile and say hello and ask how their weekend was, because and sometimes it's met with a grunt. Sometimes it's not met with reception, but that's okay. I can keep trying because eventually maybe that'll be the day where they're like, yeah, I'm going to smile back. I'm going to say hi today. That's fine. I think for some people, it really takes a lot of time to earn trust. Maybe they haven't had safe adults in their life that often. And so they don't know what that looks like. So that's one of the things. Another thing, and I don't know if I was doing it when you were my student, but
because let's be real, it was a hot minute ago. She walked in and I was just like, do you know, I think I'm your age when you were teaching me?
Which I said at first was impossible, but in fact,
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
But now I keep my snack stash in my drawer too, because I don't know who's had breakfast, who hasn't, who just didn't have time to pack a lunch. So there's always granola bars and goldfish, and there's waters and things like that. So kids know that if they need something, they can grab something. It's so stupid, but I put out mints on my desk, and so they can come up and take a mint or take a candy or whatever it is. But it's just something that feels a little bit more I don't know, homey welcoming or whatever it is. So I think that's part of it. The other thing now too is I stay in my room for lunch. And so kids who don't want to deal with the cafeteria,
that would be me,
just need a spot to kind of decompress because it is loud and crazy down there. And I know for myself, I needed a minute between classes to just, instead of going down in the office, and I love talking with my coworkers, but sometimes I just need a break. And so I will sit in my room and have lunch. And my kids know I had a crew that came in every lunch block this year. And sometimes we interacted, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes they just sat with themselves. Sometimes it was, oh my gosh, can I tell you about what happened? And I don't know what to do about this. What do you think? You're a mom. What would you do if this happened? So some days I'm there for advice. Some days I'm just there to kind of fade into the background while they have their little safe circle to hang out in.
Oh, boy. Emotional intelligence is real up in there. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just because everyone needs something different at every time. Mm-hmm. And I think that you going the extra mile and just doing those small things does make such a difference. And even this part really blows my mind because, I mean, like, you face rejection.
Yeah, a lot of hardcore rejection. I think that's the other thing. We say it to new teachers when they come in. I don't think you can have ego to a certain extent in the job because you have to be willing to, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to make fun of your outfit sometimes. They're going to make fun of your expressions sometimes. Ruthlessly so. And so instead of when I say something like, oh my gosh, I know people don't even say cringe anymore, but they'll say, oh my gosh, that's cringy. And then I'll say it more because I let them make fun of me because it's something that bonds us and connects us. And I'll see them in the hallway and I'll say something really cringy, really loudly. And they're like, oh, but they roll their eyes and it's kind of like mom. Like, it's
right.
That
it's a connection.
It's factor. A connection. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love this. This is like ninja.
I think that over the years, I'm going into year 21.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was 21 when I started teaching and I turned 22 that first month, but still I was young. And so I think you learn from watching the people around you, right? Like, who are the people who consistently have great relationships with kids? I need to be paying attention. And I think also too, part of you naturally, like, I'm empathetic, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always feeling something and feeling other people's stuff. And you can't cry around me without me crying too. So I feel that. I think trying my best to read people and understand that their behaviors are oftentimes not about me. And so if they're surly or if they're not doing something, it's probably not about what I'm doing. So what do they need to be successful? So if someone's putting their head down and not going to work, it's not an FU to me.
Right.
It's something's going on with that person. Mm-hmm. And so I have to try to be empathetic and figure out where they're coming from. What do they need? Maybe they need to just put their head down and nap that period. I don't know. Maybe it was an awful night. Maybe we need to have a conversation. Maybe I need to give an extension. But I think that there's so much trauma right now. And I think trying to understand how to meet people where they are is the most important thing that we can do as teachers. And it's not always easy. It means bending all these rules that you thought were supposed to be so strict. And who cares? Who cares if the homework comes in on the Tuesday or the Friday? Does it really matter that much in the grand scheme of things? It doesn't. And I think I had to unlearn some of the things that I thought were very important before. And I'm just realizing are not.
You make them actual humans.
Well, and I think that before it was always like, oh, don't smile until December. They have to take you seriously. Sure, there has to be mutual respect, but I think mutual respect comes from the building of a relationship, me showing that I care and I'm invested in them and what they're doing. And then in turn, they can get to a place where they're ready to be productive and invested in what I'm doing. Because why else should they care?
They shouldn't. They only care if you show you care. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to just lead to my last question for this little mini segment. And I want to know, let's say I have rejected every single smile. I have wanted nothing to do with anyone. Mm-hmm. What are the first steps you think I should take to start to adopt a safe teacher? Like, because that's hard. Like, I feel like I've broken every single thing. Like, you've smiled at me and I basically told you, not today. You don't know me. But now I'm like, oh God, I need someone, you know what I mean? And I always recommend go to therapy, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. But in school, when you're like, I really could use like a loving face right now.
Yeah. So it's hard. I think what you're asking is, so if the person themselves, that student, just cannot find that connection and is kind of shutting down every adult who tries to make that connection.
Well, they thought they didn't need one.
They thought
they didn't need one. And then they realized they did.
Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I think the cliche thing I think always is, oh, let's go talk to a guidance counselor, and that can be wonderful. It can be very helpful, and we have some wonderful guidance counselors. But I think the reality is that the kids are seeing every day for longer stretches of time are those teachers in front of them. And so if I am not having success with a particular student, what I have done in the past is gone to other teachers who have that student and say, I am struggling to make any inroads. Like, can you tell me anything about, how do they do in this class? Are they talking to anyone? What's happening? What do they seem to respond to?
You care that much?
I had one student one year. It was really difficult. We were not finding a common ground. It was not happening. And it was October, and that's too long for me. And so I went to the vice principal at the time, said, you need to give me a little background on this kid. I don't know what his deal is. He is actively, like, if he could push me back any harder, he would. And I need to figure out a way to help him because it's going to be a long year. And so she actually brought him in, and the three of us sat down and we had this meeting, and I won't go into detail. It's his personal story, but he had suffered a tremendous loss about a year and a half prior to that year, and was really kind of just pushing away anyone who was trying to get close to him. And in that meeting, we actually had such a powerful conversation. I was sobbing, he was crying, but he was my person the rest of the year. And he still, even after he left school, would reach out and email and check in. So I think sometimes you just have to be willing to really put in the work and work hard enough, because it's that important.
BRB, I'm crying. That is so kind, because I feel like a lot of people who are listening to this, they're like, honestly, nobody sees me. Nobody cares. And the name of this podcast is It Gets Better, because I truthfully never knew my life could be this good. I had no idea. I literally have zero idea. Going back to grad school to become a therapist, like, I work at a tech company. I love my life. I have a dog. Like, I am just like, truthfully, like, I had no idea my life could be this good. And the last time I saw you, I was wearing turtlenecks, gold shoes, and running really weird. And I look at myself and I'm just like, praise, it gets so much better. And so the whole premise of this is like, how can we help them get through it? Right. Because once you get through it, a whole new world opens up.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so grateful. And it's nice to know that people care.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to think, well, if nobody cares about me at home, no one's going to care about me at school.
Right.
And, I have a lot of people come on and they talk about bullying. And so they come in and they talk about bullying. And I say, okay, what would you say to yourself now when it was happening? But that's for another episode. But I am just so grateful. So thank you for showing us that people care.
Oh, thank you. They do. And so take a risk. If someone seems like they're holding their hand out, grab it, because maybe that's the lifeline that you need, right?
Mm-hmm. If someone's smiling at you, giving you snacks, take them. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.